Italy's state railway Trenitalia is well known in Europe for its impressive high-speed services, but what if I told you that they're also redefining sleeper train travel with their incredible luxury offering under their heritage arm Treni Turistici Italiani, providing a 5-star luxury experience at unbelievable prices. I'll be travelling for almost 16 hours along the French and Italian Rivieras from Marseille to Rome on what I believe is Europe's best sleeper train. Now join me as the journey continues. From no visits in 2 years to 2 visits within 2 months, welcome back to Marseille Saint-Charles, the main station serving France's second largest city, serving over 17 million passengers annually. Dating back to 1848, this station has much of its 200-year history engraved in its design, as we can see by the exterior, and just wait until we get inside. A nice summer day like this is good to highlight the grand station train shed adorning the main concourse, as well as the trees that make navigating Saint-Charles all the more pleasant. Getting here is pretty easy. There's local links using both the metro and bus, and from elsewhere in France, there are plenty of SNCF regional, intercity, and of course high-speed TGV services, the latter useful especially if you're coming in from Paris. As for me, well, I stayed in Nice the night before and took the recently revamped Express TER, now operated by Transdev, and their new Omnio Premium units, which will be coming to the channel in due course. When I arrived, however, I discovered I had a bit longer to wait than I'd planned. My train is the 14:46 departure to Roma Termini, but the inbound service had technical issues at the border the night before, meaning a delay in leaving here is pretty much inevitable. We can instead spend the time using the shops and eateries ahead of boarding. On a warm day like this, I need all the water I can get. It's worth noting as well that our train today is operated by Italy's state railway Trenitalia, who also launched their top high-speed Frecciarossa brand almost 2 months ago on the Paris to Marseille route, which I've already reviewed on the channel if you're curious. The train we'll be taking today is one of Trenitalia's sleeper trains, but with a twist that we'll be seeing shortly, as our train has finally been announced as arriving into Platform D. And here it is. Trenitalia hired SNCF Nicas locomotives to haul our train to the Italian border, but the real prize are these heavily refurbished seated, couchette, sleeper, and of course dining cars, which previously ran here under the now discontinued Tello services between France and Italy. These have now been revitalised and repurposed for Treni Turistici Italiani, Trenitalia's heritage arm for excursion trains, and this one, branded the Espresso Riviera, is a summer-only service from July to the end of August, departing from Rome every Friday evening and returning from Marseille the following Saturday in the afternoon. Last year, the Espresso Riviera was a day train running between Nice and Milan with fewer stops, but this year has seen a westward extension to Marseille with further stops along the French Riviera, as we'll see later. Anyway, the delay barely gives us any breathing space to look at this stunning train, so let's hurry on board. I'm in the sleeper car tonight, of which there's only one on board. Just outside, the attendant waits by the door to check in passengers, and I'm already impressed by the presentation. I've never seen a mat on the floor before boarding a train. Walking through the vestibule, you can already see how much thought has gone into the design. It's really clear these trains were refurbished to an exquisite standard, and we've not even got to my cabin yet. I'm here in cabin 91, a room which occupies up to 2 people that is currently set up in day mode, and it definitely feels like I've travelled back in time. I'm blown away by how amazing this looks. Also greeting me on arrival are 2 bottles of water, as well as tourist leaflets and, my favourite part, an Espresso Riviera branded fan. Nice! For large luggage items, there's an overhead rack, which also contains the bedding for when the bed is deployed later. I'm even more blown away with how late we leave, departing Marseille Saint-Charles with a delay of an hour and a half.
Passengers, welcome aboard the Espresso Riviera, brought to you by FS Treni Turistici Italiani. We are delighted to accompany you from Marseille to Rome, crossing the French and Ligurian Rivieras. After departing Marseille, we'll travel along the Tyrrhenian line to reach Rome at dawn. Stops include Toulon, Saint Raphael, Cannes, Nice, Monaco Monte Carlo, Menton, Ventimiglia, San Remo, Imperia, Alassio, Savona, Genoa and Rome. Our restaurant and bar car is ready to welcome you. Enjoy an aperitif or dinner served at your table with our gastronomic offerings.
Finally, we're on the move as we head straight towards the coast of the French Riviera. The ride to Toulon is one of the longest without stopping we experienced during the daylight hours, and with the lack of coastal views, now's a good time to give you a tour on my Deluxe Sleeper cabin. As mentioned earlier, my cabin is in day mode at the moment. Later tonight, the two seats here are folded away in favour of the lower bunk, with the upper bunk folded away just above while showcasing a picturesque black and white mural of an Italian mountain railway. Now that's attention to detail. Accessing the upper bunk is done using this ladder here, and even the steps have been fitted with blue retro fabric. A coat hook can be found just at the top of this for hanging up any jackets or suits if needed. The actual seats themselves are very comfortable with great padding and ergonomics, and I do like the soft feel the fabric gives too. These also feature foldable armrests, and despite how retro the cabin looks so far, there have been some features added to make the cabin suitable for use in 2025, such as these 224 power, USB-A, and even USB-C sockets just next to the door, and below are the switches for controlling the lights, and if you thought that was enough, well, there's even more sockets in between the seats if you somehow find yourself short. Speaking of which, if you want to bring out a laptop or tablet to watch a movie or work, there's a foldable table just here which did well with staying in place, perhaps a bit too well. Whilst there's no ensuite shower in the first class sleepers, you will find a wash basin to at least freshen up in the morning and wake yourself up ahead of the train's early arrival into Rome. There's also a bin just below this if you need. Above the cabin entrance are several switches and dials to control the main lights, announcement volume and temperature control, and on the door itself is a drawdown blind for additional privacy, alongside several locks to prevent anyone from entering the room during the night. The external windows feature curtains as opposed to blinds. After all, this is a heritage train. They also have hopper sections in case the air conditioning fails, as such they don't open that far wide. I'm very impressed with this sleeper cabin, especially with the quality of the refurbishment. I definitely feel like for what I paid, this is fantastic value, and this is just the beginning. We're now on the home straight towards Toulon and got our first glimpse of the Mediterranean Sea whilst doing so. Sadly, just as the views were about to get spectacular, we pull into the station, which was our first commercial stop of the trip, the third most populous city on the French Riviera after Nice and Marseille respectively, with a population of over 580,000 people. As the best views are to come after Saint Raphael, let me show you around the rest of the train. I'm currently in one of the two couchette cars, which accommodates up to 6 people per berth and features nice leather style seats in day mode, which, like the sleeper, are folded down to reveal the beds during the night. I'm in the front couchette car, which provides great views of our Nice locomotive as it continues to take us along the French Riviera, running at the line speed of 160 km per hour. The rear 3 carriages are the seated accommodation. This is the one first-class carriage that features compartment seating only, some of which are branded as Salutinos like the one I'm in now, which has 4 seats per compartment. For larger groups, there are also 6-seat compartments in first class, with the 2 second-class compartments also containing 6 seats throughout, but with slightly less nice and moquette. I also discovered something pretty cool about the second-class carriages, and no, it's not the great rear view along the French Riviera. I'll show you more later. For the time being, I ended up doubling back to the dining car, which is right next to my sleeping car, and this is by far one of the best I've seen on a train. Just look at that. It's no surprise that this was the most popular part of the train, with a pretty large snack selection and an outstanding presentation, and not to mention the fantastic restaurant area, which we'll be coming back to later this evening. But for now, I got some biscuits to tide me over, and those of you who have been following me for a while will know these are my go-to on any Italian train with a cafe car. We're now arriving into San Rafael, and it's from here where our journey reaches its highlight, with a coastal ride up the French Riviera. Not long after leaving, we pass Onteor and cross its stunning 123 metre long viaduct dating back to 1862, which endured 11 destruction attempts during World War II prior to its partial demolition in 1944. The viaduct we're on now being a post-war restoration effort, forming an integral part of the railway along the French Riviera. It wasn't long after here that I found out I could just about fit my camera out of the open windows in one of the seating cars for some great shots along the French Riviera, the line out of San Rafael being the best place to see this. Our next stop is Cannes, which you may know as the host of the annual Cannes Film Festival, as well as being a hotspot for the rich and famous. Around half an hour or so later, we reach the suburbs of Nice, passing Nice Saint-Augustin station, with its main purpose being to serve Nice Côte d'Azur Airport, located around a 10-minute walk away. The new station here opened in September 2022, located 400 metres west from the old station which we're passing now, to better connect with the Nice tramway and bus lines to the airport. Roughly 5 minutes afterwards, we pull into Niceville, which, as the name suggests, is the main station serving the city of Nice. As mentioned earlier, this was the former western terminus of the Espresso Riviera during the 2024 season, and getting to view the grand 1863 built train shed from the open windows is a real treat. Well, at least from yours and my camera's point of view. Oh, and whilst I'm at it, what's the bathroom situation on the Espresso Riviera? Well, no rooms are ensuite even in the first class sleepers, unless you count the wash basin, so it's sharing all round, I'm afraid. Still, they were clean throughout the trip thankfully, so it wasn't all bad. The washroom here is for the couchette and seated passengers, which don't have these in the compartments. It's already 20 minutes after Nice where we exit France and enter the microstate of Monaco, its only station being Monaco Monte Carlo, which is owned and managed by SNCF. The station used to be on the surface but was rebuilt completely underground in the 1990s. Part of the station is also located in Beausoleil, France, meaning part of our train would have already exited Monaco on arrival. Now how's that for a country scratch? Speaking of which, we're now exiting the microstate and re-entering France, taking in our last views of the French Riviera as the Espresso Riviera prepares to cross the border into Italy and run along the Italian Riviera. That being said, Menton is our last commercial stop in France, located around 4 miles or 7 kilometres from the Italian border. As with most European borders, there are no passport formalities due to both countries being part of the European Schengen area, and there's also no formal way to mark the border crossing itself. Your best estimate is the bridge here, and after crossing it, we've now arrived into Italy. The catenary is now changed, continuing towards Ventimiglia, arriving into the Italian-French border town some 30 minutes late. We won't be impacted though, however, as the Espresso Riviera is booked to lay over here for almost an hour and a half, so this is pretty good time to get out and stretch your legs. It's also here where our Nicasse locomotive will be swapped for 2 Italian ones. Being a border station, Ventimiglia has several voltages for coping with the electric systems in both France and Italy, meaning beyond here along the Ligurian coast, the Italian 3 kV DC system is used, which the SNCF locomotive isn't compatible with. This is witnessed with the Trenitalia Regionale in the background, which has lowered its pantograph as it exits the station ahead of changing voltages. Quite a lot of people got off the train here to get some food, stretch their legs, and to my surprise, see the locomotive change. There was also a melodica player on board, and listening to his playing as the sun was setting really set the vibe for this trip. In the background we can see two E402 locomotives, both part of the Treni Turistici Italiani fleet, which will be taking over our journey to Rome. One is attached to the rear of the consist to allow for shunting at Roma Termini the next morning. Whilst the other is temporarily attached to the Nicas to haul it to the sidings. As the voltage limitations mean it can't operate further east from this point, the E402 will then be reattached to lead the Espresso Riviera into its final destination. Whilst I was outside, the attendant went into my room to prepare it for night mode, deploying the lower bunk which is behind the seating area. The bedding and pillow are soft and plush, and I definitely think I'll be sleeping well tonight, excluding the early alarm call. I was also provided with a Treni Turistici Italiani branded toiletry bag, which I'll take home with me as it's a nice memento from the trip. Anyway, I was also informed by the attendant that dinner's now ready in the dining car, so I promptly headed there to get a seat and, well, yeah, it's extremely busy this evening. I was eventually seated, but no need to worry about the prices seen on the menu. The full 3-course meal along with drinks, either alcoholic or non-alcoholic, are included in the ticket costs for sleeper car passengers, which is absolutely insane value for money. The starter was couscous with mixed vegetables, followed by chicken and spinach for the main, both of which were absolutely delicious. My one criticism though was the dessert. I wasn't a huge fan of the chocolate brownie. For some reason the aftertaste didn't sit right with me, but all in all a brilliant meal and with some great entertainment from the melodica musician. The menu is seasonal and varies by trip, but I've linked the one here in the description below. Back in my room, we've now entered Savona at around 10 PM, which is my cue to get some much needed rest after a rather long day. Right, good night all, and I'll see you bright and early in the morning.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
And good morning from the Italian countryside. I had a decent 6 to 7 hours of uninterrupted sleep, and I have to say, the comfort was amazing. Definitely up there as one of my best nights on a sleeper train. Okay, now it's time to freshen up. Excuse me for a moment. I've also put away the bedding and converted the lower bunk back into day mode ahead of the arrival into Rome, and, more importantly, the light breakfast provided by the attendant. Again, this is included in the cost of my sleeper ticket, so no additional expense for me. Now to sit back, relax, and await our arrival into the Italian capital. Before long, we enter Rome and its extensive suburbs as our trip comes to an end. I loved my time on the Espresso Riviera. This was honestly one of my best sleeper train experiences to date, and this is a very useful link between France and Italy. I'm really hoping more frequent trips are introduced for the 2026 season, and I'll definitely be keeping my eye out to ride the Espresso Riviera again. I do think the best thing about this is the price, for which I paid around €215 for my solo occupancy first class sleeper cabin. Whilst this may seem like much, for what you get it's outstanding value. All meals included, a private room and an overnight journey between two major European countries. This is very much worth it. Just a reminder that the 2025 season ends on the 31st of August and bookings for the Espresso Riviera can be made on the Trenitalia app, so definitely make this train part of your European travel plans this summer. Now believe it or not, we actually made up all of our delay overnight and we're early into Roma Termini, so we have to wait a bit for an available platform. We eventually arrive into the Italian capital 2 minutes early. Now you've heard from me, I want to hear from you. Have you tried the Espresso Riviera yet? What did you think of it, and are you convinced to give it a go? Let me know in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like and share it if you did to aid the channel's growth, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more content such as this weekly. Okay, now off to enjoy Rome for a bit ahead of my flight home later. Thanks so much for coming with me on this trip, and I look forward to bringing you with me on my next one.
Attenzione, treno in arrivo al binario 2. Allontanarsi